Okay, so let's be direct. Someone's been playing you, testing boundaries, taking you for granted, treating you like option instead of priority, acting mm, like your patience is infinite, your tolerance is endless, your availability is guaranteed regardless of how poorly they behave. They've been operating under fundamental misunderstanding about who you are, what you'll accept, what you deserve, and most importantly, what happens when someone pushes Virgo past the point of no return. That misunderstanding just got corrected violently. Something shifted. Maybe you finally walked away. Maybe you set boundary that bit with teeth. Maybe they saw you with someone else and realized replacement is possible, that you're not sitting home pining while they play games. Maybe they lost access they'd been taking for granted, and the loss created panic they weren't expecting. Whatever the catalyst, whatever the specific moment that cracked their delusion, the result is same. They just woke up to reality that you're not playing anymore. You're not available for their bullshit anymore. You're not the safe backup plan they can return to whenever primary plans fall through. And that realization is creating earthquake in their world. Here's what won't play with you ever again actually means in their psychology, in their behavior that's about to change so dramatically you'll barely recognize them, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. First, the games stop. The hot and cold disappears. The breadcrumbing ends. The mixed signals get replaced with clear, consistent communication. They're not doing this because they became a better person overnight. They're doing it because they finally understood that games lose you, that manipulation drives you away, that inconsistency makes you unavailable, and being unavailable to them, being truly gone from their access, that scares them more than vulnerability of showing up consistently. Fear is powerful motivator, more powerful than love sometimes. And they're afraid now. Afraid they've lost you, afraid they can't get you back, afraid that someone else will claim what they were too stupid to value properly when they had unrestricted access. Second shift, respect appears. Suddenly they're respecting boundaries they used to bulldoze, honoring your time they used to waste, valuing your energy they used to drain, treating your words as important instead of treating them as suggestions they could ignore. This respect emerges because you demonstrated consequence. You showed them that disrespect costs access. You proved that treating you poorly results in losing you. And loss, actual loss or threatened loss, real enough to feel possible, that teaches respect faster than anything else. Virgo doesn't bluff. When Virgo says done, done means done. They're learning this now. They're understanding that you're not like others who threaten to leave but never actually go, who set boundaries but don't enforce them, who demand respect but accept disrespect repeatedly. You're different. Your tolerance has limits. Your patience expires. Your availability isn't unconditional. Third shift. Effort materializes. They start doing things they claimed were impossible. Suddenly they have time they didn't have before, energy they didn't have before, willingness to compromise they didn't have before, ability to prioritize you they didn't have before. All these impossibilities become possible the moment they realize losing you is real possibility. All these I can't statements become I can when I can't means I lose you forever. This tells you something crucial about the previous lack of effort. It wasn't inability, it was choice. They could have done better all along. They chose not to because they didn't think they had to, didn't think there would be consequences for treating you poorly, didn't believe you'd actually enforce your standards or walk away from someone who wasn't meeting them. It they gambled that you loved them enough to tolerate anything. They lost that gamble. Now they're scrambling to demonstrate they can be who you needed them to be before you decided you didn't need them at all. This reflection invites you to consider what specific game or pattern are you most ready to see end permanently? Let's talk about what happens in their head when they realize the dynamic has fundamentally changed. First comes denial. They're just upset. They'll calm down. This is temporary. They always come back. This phase is brief because your consistency destroys it. You don't come back. You don't soften. You don't give them the reaction they're expecting, which is anger followed by reconciliation. You give them nothing. Or you give them boundaries so firm they can't penetrate. Or you give them clear communication that doesn't waver when they try their usual tactics. Denial collapses into panic. Oh shit, this is real. They're actually done. I actually fucked this up beyond my ability to charm my way out of it. Panic makes them sloppy, makes them reach out too much, makes them say things they wouldn't normally say, reveal feelings they normally protect, offer things they normally withhold. You'll see the panic in their communication if they still have access to communicate, in the frequency, the tone, the sudden willingness to be vulnerable or honest or direct in ways they never were when they felt secure in their position. Panic either resolves into genuine change or into manipulation. This is fork in the road. This is where you discover what they're actually made of. Genuine change looks like sustained effort, like behavior modification that continues even after they regain some of your trust, like therapy or work on themselves that addresses root causes rather than just surface symptoms. Manipulation looks like performance, like temporarily doing better until they feel secure again and then reverting, like promises without action, like words designed to get you back without actual intention to be different once they have you. Your job is discernment. Your job is watching what they do, not what they say. Your job is requiring proof over time. Not accepting immediate promises as evidence of change is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. Because if they're manipulating, if the shift isn't genuine, you need to know that before you reinvest, before you lower your guard, before you give them access to hurt you again in all the ways they hurt you before. But here's the thing about Virgo that they're learning: you analyze, you assess. You don't just feel your way through decisions. You watch patterns, you track consistency, you measure their behavior against their words, and you notice every discrepancy, every gap, every moment where action doesn't match promise. This analytical quality they might have found annoying before, might have called overthinking or being too critical. This is exactly what protects you now. This is what lets you see through performance to reality. This is what prevents you from being fooled by temporary improvements that don't reflect actual transformation. They can't play you anymore because you're not operating on emotion alone. You're operating on evidence, on data, on observable reality rather than on hope or potential or who they could be if they wanted to be better. You're assessing who they actually are, who they actually demonstrate themselves to be through sustained behavior. And that assessment is what determines whether they get another chance or whether the door stays closed. This reflection invites you to consider, what evidence would you need to see before believing their shift is genuine versus manipulative? Now let's address the love component, because this isn't just about games ending. It's about what emerges when games end and real connection becomes possible is less than #0. 5# is greater than. If their shift is genuine, if they're actually becoming person capable of meeting you properly, what develops is fundamentally different from what existed when games were being played. Different in quality, different in depth, different in sustainability. Love that emerges after someone almost lost you carries weight that love before the crisis didn't carry. They know now what losing you feels like. They know now what your absence creates in their life. They know now what they took for granted and what they can't take for granted anymore. This knowledge, this experiential understanding of loss or threatened loss, it changes how they hold you, how they treat you, how they show up for relationship. Before the shift, you were safe bet, reliable, constant person who'd be there regardless. Now you're precious, fragile, keepable only through consistent effort and genuine respect. The shift from they'll always be there to they'll only be there if I deserve them being there fundamentally alters dynamic in ways that serve you if they rise to the challenge. Some people rise. Some people discover they're actually capable of healthy partnership once consequences make unhealthy partnership untenable. Some people do the work, make the changes, become the partner they should have been from the beginning. And with these people, what gets built after the crisis is stronger than what existed before, because it's built on reality rather than assumption, on choice rather than convenience, on mutual respect rather than one person accommodating while the other takes advantage. But some people don't rise. Some people can't maintain the effort once immediate threat of loss passes. Some people are capable of panic-driven temporary improvement, but incapable of sustained transformation. And with these people, accepting them back means accepting that the pattern will repeat, that games will resume once they feel secure, that you'll be back in this position eventually, possibly with more investment, more history, more difficulty extracting yourself the next time you reach your limit. This is why your Virgo nature serves you. This is why your analytical assessment, your pattern recognition, your unwillingness to accept words without supporting evidence, this is exactly what you need to distinguish between genuine change and convincing performance. Don't let anyone shame you for being too analytical or not trusting enough. Your analytical nature is protection. Your cautiousness is wisdom. Your requirement for proof is healthy boundary that prevents you from being fooled by people who've already proven they'll hurt you if you let them. This reflection invites you to consider, Are you actually interested in reconciliation if they prove genuine change? Or have you moved past wanting them back regardless of how much they improve? Let me speak directly to what trust me means in this context. I'm asking you to trust what I'm seeing in the energy, in the pattern, in the shift that's occurring in their consciousness about you. Trust that they are experiencing crisis of understanding about what they had and what they lost or are losing is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. Trust that their perception of you has changed from safe person who will tolerate anything to person I might actually lose if I don't get my shit together. Trust that the dynamic has shifted in your favor in ways it hasn't been in your favor before. But I'm not asking you to trust them, not yet. Not until they prove trustworthy through sustained changed behavior. Not until they demonstrate that the shift is real, is permanent, is based on actual growth rather than temporary panic. Trust me about the shift. Don't trust them until they earn it. And maybe you don't want to trust them again. Maybe the damage is done. Maybe you've moved past the point where even genuine change would be enough to make you want to try again. That's valid. That's your right. That's your boundary to maintain, regardless of how much they improve or how sincerely they apologize or how desperately they want another chance. You don't owe them reconciliation just because they finally figured out how to treat you properly. You don't owe them relationship just because they're capable of being better now. You're allowed to say, I'm glad you've grown. I hope you treat the next person better than you treated me, but I'm not interested in being with you regardless of how much you've improved. That's the ultimate power shift. That's you recognizing that their improvement doesn't obligate your return. That's you understanding that even when someone becomes who you needed them to be, if they became that person too late, if you've already healed enough to not need them anymore, you get to choose yourself, choose your peace, choose moving forward without them, even when moving forward with them becomes possible, is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. The games end either way. Either they end because you stay and they stop playing because they learned their lesson, or they end because you leave and there's no one left to play games with. Both outcomes are victories for you. Both outcomes mean you're no longer accepting treatment that diminishes you. Both outcomes mean you've claimed your worth and you're not negotiating it anymore. They won't play with you ever again because you won't allow it, because your tolerance expired, because you finally understood your worth and stopped accepting less than you deserve. That understanding is power. That boundary is freedom. That choice, whether it's choosing improved them or choosing know them at all, that choice